Returning to my childhood home next month was an unexpected decision for me. Out of nowhere, my eldest son Bob showed up at my house with a smirk plastered on his face. With an air of nonchalance, he announced that his wife, Katherine, was engrossed in online shopping at home, leaving their two unruly children to run amok. He casually requested, "Please take care of the grandkids." This was a stark contrast to their previous attitude when they learned I had moved to a condo. Suddenly, they were indifferent. Feeling compelled to impart a lesson about the unpredictability of life, I, Janet, age 64, a widow for 2 years, reside alone in the house where I raised my two boys. My sons, aged 38 and 36, both have families of their own in nearby apartments. Siblings, as someone once said, are often vastly different. In our family, my eldest son, Bob, turned out to be flashy and careless, while my younger son is modest and dependable. Bob and Katherine are blessed with 2 children, but unfortunately, my younger son, David, and his wife have been unable to conceive. I avoid bringing up this sensitive topic. However, Katherine, in her insensitive manner, frequently teases David's wife about the absence of a baby, urging her to hurry up and suggesting that she should practice while she can. Despite these remarks, David's wife, who adores children, lovingly cares for their kids. During my husband's hospitalization, when I asked Bob and his wife to visit, they brushed it off, claiming they were too busy. Meanwhile, David and his wife visited regularly, offering emotional support. David's wife even cooked for me during difficult times and took care of the grandkids. On the other hand, Bob and Katherine were away on trips, gambling in Las Vegas. Upon their return, without inquiring about the kids, they immediately sought financial assistance, claiming they had lost everything. Suppressing my anger, I firmly declined their request, emphasizing our financial constraints. Their disdain for my old house, which I had preserved for over 60 years, was evident when Katherine mocked its outdated features, including the old faucets. Even when I bought gifts for my grandkids on birthdays or Christmas, Bob and Katherine never expressed gratitude. Instead, they complained about the presents, deeming them lame and suggesting I could have chosen something cooler. I accompanied my grandkids to the toy store, letting them choose what they wanted. However, being accused of having bad taste by Bob and Katherine was truly unbearable. Despite this, I cherished the time spent with my adorable grandkids. Concerns arose about Bob and Katherine's parenting when I observed their lax approach. Katherine, juggling work, frequently asked me to pick up the kids from daycare, seemingly skipping her responsibilities to go out drinking with friends. On days I took the grandkids home, they often ended up staying overnight. Even though I dropped them off at daycare the next morning, Katherine never expressed gratitude, asserting that I must be happy since I lived alone. The children became so accustomed to being at my place that they occasionally resisted leaving. While I enjoyed spending time with them, Bob and Katherine's lackadaisical attitude towards parenting was a constant worry. The breaking point in my relationship with Bob's family occurred when I had to undergo medical tests due to prolonged fatigue. In a rare call, Bob and Katherine mentioned that my grandkid was worried and wanted to hear my voice. After assuring my grandchild, I overheard Bob and Katherine's conversation as they left the phone off the hook. They discussed the burden of taking care of the elderly and suggested that David, my younger son, should handle it, assuming he had extra money since he didn't have kids. The conversation took a hurtful turn as they dismissed me as an old person without much money, questioning why I continued to live in what they referred to as an old shack. Their open disdain for my frugality and appearance, even mentioning my choice of clothes, was heart-wrenching. Unable to remain silent, I responded, "I'm sorry to have disappointed you." Katherine, unfazed, chuckled, admitting they hadn't hung up the phone. Bob, showing no remorse, declared that it was the truth and expressed his dissatisfaction with being born into what he considered a plain family, feeling like he drew the short straw when it came to parents. Despite my efforts to raise them without spoiling them, it seemed to have backfired. I let out a sigh and simply stated, "I'm going to hang up now, before ending the call. As it turned out, my hospital tests didn't show any issues. I was just exhausted. I was set to return home safely on the day I was discharged, which happened to be a Saturday. Since David was working, his wife accompanied me. However, upon arriving home, we found the door unlocked, and my 2 grandkids were playing alone in the messy living room. "Grandma, welcome back," they exclaimed, but Bob and Katherine were nowhere to be found. David's wife inquired, "Where's your mom and dad?" The kids responded, "They said they're cleaning the house and told us to stay here and behave." We exchanged knowing glances, realizing that Bob and Katherine wouldn't be cleaning. Quietly ascending the stairs, we discovered them rummaging through my drawers. "What are you doing?" I exclaimed. Coolly turning around, they greeted me. "Oh, Janet, you're back. We didn't know you were being discharged today." Katherine gave a bright smile, and Bob, in an unusually kind tone, said, "Why didn't you tell us you were being discharged? I would have come to pick you up." Sensing my discomfort, Katherine handed me a document, saying, "You're quite sneaky, Janet, hiding this from us." Among the papers Katherine handed me was a lease for a condo on the 50th floor of a nearby tower. Bob, with a grin, mentioned it cost around $33,000 a month. "Why keep this a secret?" he questioned. "Did you use Dad's inheritance or something? If so, we have a right to know." After glancing over the document, Bob confidently declared, "We'll move into the family home next month." Confused, I responded, "What?" Bob explained, "You're getting older. You were hospitalized this time too. Living alone's a concern, right?" He then looked to Katherine for agreement, and she chimed in, "Exactly. This house is old, and if anything happens, it'll be a mess." Their sudden decision seemed to overlook a recent phone call. How forgetful can they be? I wondered silently. Seeing our disbelief, Katherine winked and cheekily said, "Do take care of the grandkids, will you?" David's wife, usually quiet, finally lost her temper. "Hold on. What's going on? You're just going to barge into the condo that my mother-in-law rented? That's way out of line. What were you even thinking?" Bob and his wife remained unfazed. "It's kind of funny, thinking of Mom living in a fancy condo, right?" Bob remarked. "She'd stand out like a sore thumb. If we live with her, it'll look better, don't you think?" Katherine added. "You wouldn't understand if you don't have kids," Katherine continued, targeting David's wife. "Moms like me want to raise our children in a decent place. I'm saying this for the kids. Surely you'd agree that every day would be more fun with the grandkids around." David's wife, frustrated, was ready to retort, but I stopped her with a hand gesture. "It's all right. Thank you. Can I handle this?" I then turned to Bob and his wife. "Next month works for you?" I asked. "I'll be ready." David's wife looked at me in surprise. After catching a significant glance from me, David's wife seemed to understand and kept quiet, unaware of our silent exchange. Bob and his wife cheerfully said, "All right, we've decided. Let's get ready for the move. We want furniture that's fitting for a luxury apartment. Should we head to a high-end furniture store now?" "That sounds great. Oh, and Janet, please take care of the kids for us," they joyfully said and left. Seeing the worried look on Bob's wife's face, I winked at her, imitating Katherine, and told her about my upcoming plan. A plan to teach them that not everything goes as one expects. The next month arrived, and Bob and his wife eagerly informed me about their moving day. "We're going to live in that sunny room. We bought all new furniture and appliances. Don't bring anything outdated, okay?" Both of them were very excited, picturing their luxury condo life. Okay, I got it. I'll make sure everything's prepared," I casually replied and started my own moving preparations. As instructed, I discarded all the old furniture and belongings, minimizing my possessions. I've always heard that as you get older, it becomes harder to part with things, so I took this as a perfect opportunity to declutter, especially for the sake of my children. On the day Bob was set to move, I was busy since morning, unpacking my own belongings. Since my phone was on silent, I didn't notice any incoming calls. When noon arrived and I decided to take a break, I checked my phone. To my surprise, there had been relentless calls from Bob since 9 a.m. Realizing this, I teasingly stuck out my tongue and called Bob back. He answered immediately, yelling, "Why? Why weren't you picking up?" "Oh, I'm sorry. My phone was on silent." "So what happened?" I asked. "We went to the condo, and when we rang the doorbell, some stranger answered, asking who we were." "The luxury condo. Did you go there?" Bob questioned. "Well, yeah. We said we were moving to the family home. Remember? We had a huge argument with the person in that apartment," I explained. After catching a significant glance from me, David's wife seemed to understand and kept quiet, unaware of our silent exchange. Bob and his wife cheerfully said, "All right, we've decided. Let's get ready for the move. We want furniture that's fitting for a luxury apartment. Should we head to a high-end furniture store now?" "That sounds great. Oh, and Janet, please take care of the kids for us," they joyfully said and left. Seeing the worried look on Bob's wife's face, I winked at her, imitating Katherine, and told her about my upcoming plan, a plan to teach them that not everything goes as one expects. The next month arrived, and Bob and his wife eagerly informed me about their moving day. "We're going to live in that sunny room. We bought all new furniture and appliances. Don't bring anything outdated, okay?" Both of them were very excited, picturing their luxury condo life. Okay, I got it. I'll make sure everything's prepared," I casually replied and started my own moving preparations. As instructed, I discarded all the old furniture and belongings, minimizing my possessions. I've always heard that as you get older, it becomes harder to part with things, so I took this as a perfect opportunity to declutter, especially for the sake of my children. On the day Bob was set to move, I was busy since morning, unpacking my own belongings. Since my phone was on silent, I didn't notice any incoming calls. When noon arrived and I decided to take a break, I checked my phone. To my surprise, there had been relentless calls from Bob since 9 a.m. Realizing this, I teasingly stuck out my tongue and called Bob back. He answered immediately, yelling, "Why? Why weren't you picking up?" "Oh, I'm sorry. My phone was on silent." "So what happened?" I asked. "We went to the condo, and when we rang the doorbell, some stranger answered, asking who we were." "The luxury condo. Did you go there?" Bob questioned. "Well, yeah. We said we were moving to the family home. Remember? We had a huge argument with the person in that apartment," I explained. Bob then asked, "Where are you now, Mom?" "Why would I tell you that? If I need something, I'll come over." "Bye," I replied and hung up, keeping my phone on silent. Continuing with my moving preparations, I discarded the luxury condo contract the next day. While it hurt to lose the deposit, it was more infuriating to see Bob and his wife have their way. Despite admiring luxury condos and their amenities, I soon realized it might have been too extravagant for me. This incident pushed me to reconsider, and now I'm living comfortably in a one-bedroom apartment with assisted living features. It even has a gym and 24/7 concierge service, perfect for me living alone. Bob and his wife thought I was broke, but in reality, I had been studying and investing while being a homemaker. I managed to earn enough for both my children's education after my husband's passing. With a hefty life insurance payout and inheritance, investing half of that sum turned out to be quite profitable. Despite this, Bob and his wife always seemed to live beyond their means. Later on, I found out they were drowning in debt, likely searching my house for hidden assets. Facing financial troubles, Bob and his wife reluctantly moved into the old family home, once mocked by them. Filling it with mismatched luxury furniture and electronics, they struggled to maintain their lifestyle. When I tried to discuss changing the deed through my attorney, Bob proposed renting the property from me for a minimal amount. Reluctantly, I agreed, but it seemed they were struggling even to pay that. Debt collectors became more aggressive, and Bob had to take up multiple jobs to make ends meet. Despite their troubles, Bob and his wife remained distant from their children. who eventually found a loving home with David and his wife. Bob's once confident demeanor faded, and he struggled with his emotions. Katherine's sudden disappearance with another man left Bob devastated, and he became distrustful of women. While I still hold out hope for him to find someone kind and understanding, maybe I'm just being a hopeless